We're live, man. We're live now. Hey, everybody, welcome to This Life in Tech, episode 4. To our nifty new fucking bumper image with the Pro MS Paint. I got to rant for a second. This really irritates me. Oh, wait, we got the intro music.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know if that makes me want to kick my dog or jump off the roof, but
this is your kind of music.
Hey, listen, man, this is gonna get yanked off YouTube if there's too much of that. So stop.
I stopped it. I only played 14 seconds of it. So there you go.
So this irritates the shit out of me, man. So I created this bumper image real fucking quick. I mean, it's so pro, right? And all I wanted to do was share my screen through Google Hangouts on Air. So we have like this nice little bumper image for our intro. And the default picture viewer in Windows 10, when you screen share, renders a black screen. You can't see the image. So I had to use fucking Paint. You know, I've had Windows 10. I don't know about you or any of our listeners. I've had Windows 10 for a while. And until very recently, in fact, until yesterday, I didn't have a problem with it. And now I have a fucking huge problem with it. First of all, you know, you and I both use Adobe Connect quite a bit. On Windows 10, on my Surface, sharing an app or a screen, that Flash plugin fucking crashes. Crashes the entire app. The entire browser.
I had that today.
Oh my God, dude, it drove me crazy last night. I was trying to show somebody some Unix stuff over Connect. And I gave up. I tapped out, left. I'm like, fuck it, I'm done. I can't do it. And now this bullshit with this picture viewer. And I thought I got rid of that application anyway because I don't like it. Somehow it's my default still. But anyway, that's my bullshit. Episode 4, Matt, you want to talk about vulnerability disclosure? It's like privacy month, isn't it?
Well, yesterday was Data Privacy Day, but just one comment. I hope none of our users are using Windows 10. I hope you're the only douchebag that's using it.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
I only use the Microsoft operating system for games. That's it. That's all I use it for. I hate it. I've hated it for a long time. I think it's kind of like using, to me, an Apple iOS device. It's just too limiting. I like the freedom to do whatever I want.
wait, what kind of, you use a Mac, right?
Well, for work, but otherwise I'm using Linux. So most of the stuff that I wind up doing is in Linux.
Oh, fuck you. You know what, man? Check this out. I did an experiment over the summer. No bullshit. I really got into, and I still am really into it. I just don't know how to deal with this yet. Fuck it. We're not talking about vulnerability management or disclosure patch.
Right.
Hold on.
Not yet.
Hold on. Let's talk about free, as in freedom. So I did an experiment over the summer for 30 days. I did a 30-day challenge where I used nothing but free and open source software. That's it. That's all I allowed.
Like
myself,
true, false. So, all right.
That's so first of all, it took me a fucking week to get the operating system to function correctly.
Right.
Because Ubuntu is not FOSS or Floss or whatever the fuck you want to call it today. It's not. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm following Richard Stallman's directives, his dogma, and I'm like, okay, dude, let's do it. And then I get some things to work, and I'm working. I'm okay. I convinced all the students I had at that time to send me only PDF, whatever. Right. I had a problem. You know what that first problem was? No Flash, so I can't use Adobe Connect. I use Adobe Connect at least once a week.
Well, I don't think that's a problem that you couldn't use Flash.
Well, it wouldn't have been a problem if I hadn't already signed a contract and taken money.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I had a contract that I had taken money on. I was obligated to fulfill the terms of that contract.
Yep, this is true. But I think you could have modified your aspect in terms of, instead of it being FOSS, because you weren't doing anything for commercial purposes, like you weren't trying to sell it.
True.
You could have used anything that was just considered under any open source agreement. So then I think you would have been fine, because for the most part, I found I can't remember the name of it, but actually I didn't find it. Death Star found it. A really great Exchange, or not Exchange, Outlook alternative that'll work with Microsoft Exchange and act like Outlook on Linux. And so once I had been searching, he goes, I'm sure there's something in the Arch distro stuff that he wanted to find. He found something. And so since then, for the most part, I use Arch most of the times. I just put it up in VMware or something along those lines.
Yeah,
or at home,
I was using Arch. But listen, man, there is no fucking replacement for Flash that'll work with Adobe Connect. It will not fucking work. In fact, when you install Flash on Arch for Adobe Connect, it won't fucking work.
Because the wrong version of Flash?
No, because you can't correctly set the permissions so that you can share your microphone or your camera.
Oh yes, I don't try because I just figured it wasn't going to work, and so that's when I wound up using the Mac
it doesn't.
part for that.
It doesn't, man. Yeah. I tried for weeks. It won't work.
Yeah,
which irritates me. Why is freedom so inconvenient?
Well, it's funny. So I teach this class on how to start being more getting back some of your privacy.
Yeah,
and it's funny. In order to do so, I'm like, hey, look, privacy is not convenient. And it's not free. It costs a lot of money to set up a private lifestyle, even mildly private. Like if you just want to be able to beat like a level 1 PI, private investigator, it's still going to cost you, $500-600 a year to beat a level 1 PI. A level 2, you're talking about spending $3,000 to $4,000. A level 3, you're talking some serious coin you're going to be putting out in order to beat a level 3. Level 4, you're not doing because that's a nation state type thing. But you're it costs money. I mean, a PO box is like $100 a year or something like that. I don't remember what the cost is.
Well, but this is my question, though, man. This is my question. Because of how easy it is now to create new technology, it's exceedingly easy, right? It's not 10 years ago where you didn't have the fucking tools as a layman, right? You don't need specialized knowledge anymore, or at least not as much. So why isn't there a fucking free, open source FOSS plugin that I can use for Adobe Connect? I mean, it's not like Adobe's a new company.
Because Flash sucks.
It does. Wait, lots of things suck, but that doesn't mean they're not pervasive in our culture.
I think I just read that Adobe was killing the Flash plugin for browsers.
I don't know. I mean, HTML5 is more than capable of replacing it.
I might have read that. If only there was a system I could go to ask this.
Popular music sucks. I mean, demonstrably sucks, but it's popular. Right? There's something to capturing that lowest common denominator, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's not bad. It's a recognition that the status quo is the majority, and the majority likes that. So if the majority likes something that isn't free, how do you create that free alternative?
People want convenience, so I don't think that part's ever going to really matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I agree with that.
Because they don't. If they wanted, because people are lazy, because people want convenience, and time is still money in some way, shape, or form. I could mow the lawn and take 2 hours of my time and what I believe my hourly rate is. Or I can pay the dude $40 every time to come cut my grass. Who can do it like in 30 minutes because he's got all the equipment. I can go buy that equipment, but that means I still have to do it. And that 30 minutes, I could do many other things rather than cut my yard.
True.
The grass.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, I think it just comes back down to convenience. People choose not to because it inconveniences them.
Well, would you agree maybe that it's a combination of not only convenience but also incentive?
I think in a lot of ways it's.
You need a lot of ways incentive to overcome convenience.
Yeah, Yeah.
That's my point.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that because I built a stand-up desk. I could have gone and bought one, but I saw yours and I wanted something that was better.
You saw mine and you wanted something better?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't say. Well, I'm gonna say. I was like, hey, I can do that. I'm not someone that wants to go and do carpentry type work or hang drywall or anything like that. That's not what I do for a living.
Right.
I'm not good at it. But every once in a while, I'm like, I think I could do something like this, and so I decided to go and build that. So
Yeah.
I built a stand-up desk. In my mind as to what I wanted it to look like, how tall, and I don't have all the tools to do it, but I had some things, and so I did it. It would be a lot more convenient, but it would have cost more money for me to buy a proper stand-up desk. Instead, it's cost me $50 because I already had all the tools. It was $50 worth of wood, roughly, maybe a little bit less. And I built it, and it took me a couple hours, but it was something for me that I wanted to do, just because a lot of times it's, people say, "Oh, you're just a tech guy. You're not. You couldn't do anything like this." Hey, I can read a book. I can read a book. Video. Yeah, I can watch a YouTube video, and I'm pretty damn sure I can figure it out. When I used to have a bunch of lizards, I built the I don't know, it's aquarium's not the right word, a terrarium is it the right word?
Yeah. Yeah.
I built that with all the lamps in there, and then with this type of lizard that I had, it was a desert animal, and so you had to make sure there was proper heat zone, cool zone, and a night cycle. So otherwise, you'll cause this lizard to go crazy and it'll die.
Right.
So you had to keep monitoring the temperatures, and I wanted this thing to look kind of like a desert. So had to give it enough hiding spots so it could, but I remember my mom going, you're not really handy. How are you going to do this? I'll figure it out. I've got an imagination and I've got Google. I can research things, and I did it, and it turned out great. I had all the lighting in there proper. And these, I loved it. I mean, not that you could go pet these lizards, not like an iguana or anything like that. These things they look like little dinosaurs. They're called Uromastics, which are great. But man, if you get it irritated, it's got the spiky tail and it'll turn around and whip you. Oh, it doesn't feel good. So I'd always go in there. All you really need is gloves that you would wash dishes with, and then the thing doesn't hurt you. Do whatever you want with it, which is what I would do when I had to clean the cage. I grabbed that little bastard and put him in a different cage with a sunlight on it. You didn't want to do that when you didn't have this glove on, because you look like a predator coming out. So it's like you're coming down up top, grabbing this thing. It's like it's like a hawk or whatever, and so they get scared and they'll whip you. So you don't go in there without a glove on because it'll hurt.
Well, all right. So that's
the first part. We were talking about convenience.
How the fuck did we get to bitching about Adobe and Windows to fucking dinosaurs?
Because you couldn't figure out how to get your screen share to work properly because it's a Windows product.
No, yeah, I know, but we started complaining about Windows and Adobe, and somehow we just ended up with fucking dinosaurs.
Well, what's funny about this is that all 3 episodes, here we are in tech, and this is This Life in Tech. We're tech guys, and it's like technology is not. It's really a lot of times just not convenient. Sometimes it just makes things more difficult. Like this should work just like this, and it is yet to turn out the way we expect. Thank God we're not doing a demo or anything live.
Yeah, you're like I don't know if you've noticed, but for some reason, man, and I've been trying to look it up. Why you've been? I don't know what the fuck you've even been babbling about, to be honest with you. Fucking dinosaurs and shit. But the camera's not auto switching. Like you're not talking, but I can force it to you, and I bring it back to me. Then usually because it's a Google Hangout, right? It detects who's talking and switches to that person. But this time it's not. So I don't have to show you a fucking face. Back to you.
Yeah. Me. So I guess we were.
Let's talk about fucking bugs and vulnerabilities, man. Since we're going to talk about technology, let's get into that. Because I think first of all, I think it's a bug that at least the most recent version of Adobe Flash crashes Firefox on Windows 10. Okay, that's clearly a fucking bug. It's a software bug.
Sure.
The other bug. Oh, look, now it's switching. Talk again, real quick.
Hello.
Oh, look at that. Fuck, I fixed it. There we go.
About
God
time.
damn. God damn. The other bug is this mimetic bug that's in our minds that somehow we've been tricked into thinking that freedom is free, that you don't have to do anything for it, that you just have it, like you're entitled to it. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to fight for it, that you don't have to suffer to maintain it. That's a fucking
Really, because I think people have just forgotten that freedom is only found at the other end of the sword, or in today's world, the other end of a gun. Freedom continues to have to be fought for in all ways. In a lot of ways, in today's society, freedom is found at the other end of a pen, or in this case, the other end of a keyboard. You have to be writing about it. You have to be consistently and constantly challenging the authority, because government always wants more power and take it away from the people, and the people have to keep the government in check. And today, in our world, here in the United States and in other modernized countries, governments are trying to take away the power, because the government's no longer scared. They don't fear the citizenry, and it shouldn't be that way. The citizens should be the ones that the government should be fearful of, not the other way around.
Yeah, well, you've heard me say it before. Utopia is reached on the bones of heroes. There has to be sacrifice. And look, man, maybe I'll diverge a little bit here. I don't think the government sets out to do these things. I think it's a signal that that's where the majority of the power lies right now in our culture. So that's the status quo that's going to perpetuate itself.
Sure.
Bush didn't engineer 9/11. I'm not saying there wasn't fuckery. I'm not saying there's some things that are curious, right? I'm not debating the truth of it, but an individual human being doesn't represent the status quo. They don't control it. There's no Illuminati in that sense, in my opinion. But what there is culture, and that cultural engine, when it has a majority, is going to perpetuate itself, right? I mean, that's why the Kardashians are on TV. It's not that they're dumb or smart. It's that they represent a piece of that status quo, and that's what people buy into. So how do we get people to buy into free software and freedom, right? Free open source software. How do we get people to buy in culturally as part of the culture engine into encryption as a standard? It's just right. I mean, our culture is built on gasoline, on petrol products. Why isn't encryption part of that culture like that? In the same way, we don't think about fucking gas, where it comes from. Fuck it, man. It comes from somewhere that we just bombed. We don't know. Who cares? Same thing with food, right? We don't have to go kill our food anymore. Dude, I drive 2 blocks. I can walk to the grocery store and I can get anything I want. I don't have to go get it at all. I don't have to think about it. So how do we do that with software? How do we make software not shitty? Instead of accepting shitty software, whether it's bugs, vulnerabilities, predatory sales practices and licensing, whatever. Right now, to me, it seems like there's an acceptance of that in the cultural engine. Like it's okay. I mean, we talk about that with our own software, that we know there's going to be problems philosophically. So let's focus on how fast we can fix it. And I'm not saying that's not a sound business strategy, but culturally, there's this acceptance that that's how it's always going to be. And I just sit back sometimes and wonder why. Why does it have to be that way?
Well, first, I can either confirm or deny there's an Illuminati.
Oh, man.
All right. People, there is this stigma, and I don't know that it's so much that it's accepted or not. I mean, think about Windows 8, for example. No one wanted to go to it because there was this aspect of every other Microsoft operating system release has been shit. And I would argue that they've all been shit, but but they were like, oh no, don't go to Windows 8 because we know what happens when we go to every other one. I mean, take a look. Windows Me, not good. Windows 2000, not good. You keep on. You had all these every other releases, and so what does Microsoft do? Like, I mean, this was the quickest I think they've ever put out an operating system where they went from 8 to 10. And because people know don't go to the .0 release, and for Microsoft, don't go to the next release. Expect bugs. I think in a lot of ways, people don't want to go to the bleeding edge. Very few of us ever want bleeding edge because expect problems. But if you don't have those pioneers that are willing to accept the sacrifice of being on the bleeding edge, then it's not going to improve because you're not going to find more of the bugs. Because organizations, they can't find everything. But the ones that I fault are the ones that do not appear to be putting enough effort into QA. And I'll give an example. And I was over at McAfee at this time, and I don't know if you remember this, but McAfee had put out a new DAT file for antivirus. There's no way in hell that they ever did any QA on this, because it crashed every fucking Microsoft computer as soon as you put it on there, because their signature file wound up classifying a Microsoft system file as malware, and it blue screened, and you couldn't fucking get it back in with last known configuration or anything. You were toast. So McAfee had to figure out how to create a rescue disk to remove that signature file at boot up. And it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I remember signatures failing and classifying Office executables.
Yeah.
Right.
Know that the Microsoft operating system is being used. How did you not think to check that and see if it works? I mean, where were the all the different QA tests? Where are all the use cases? Where's all of the business readiness reviews for this type of a product? I mean, this is standard operating procedure, and this wasn't checked. McAfee's a big company. This wasn't, and they didn't check this, because I think to me that means it gives me the suspicion that I think a lot of companies aren't necessarily QAing it. I would go so far as like Cisco, and this is just my perception, and it's been a long time since I've done anything behind the keyboard on a Cisco gear, but they used to have it felt like 30 different trains of like the 12 release. So you'd have 12.0 G, 12.0 N, S, T, U, all these different things at the end of it. And those signified different things they had in there, whether or not it was experimental packages in there, things like that, because I think they were relying on their customer base to perform that QA for them. I don't know if that's true, but that's just my suspicion. So we're going to get more bugs.
Yeah, well, so in like the McAfee thing's an interesting example. Windows, I think, is a really good example. I mean, you can say that it's shitty, and maybe it is, but you know what it definitely is? The most popular operating system in the fucking world, right? A shitload of people use Microsoft Windows. So that is the culture, right?
So what you're saying is Microsoft is like Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Kardashians, like Miley Cyrus, like at least in the part of the country that you live in, NASCAR. No. It's part of the culture engine, man. You can like it. I don't like it, but that doesn't mean
I don't live in the state that you're getting ready to move to. Okay? I don't live in North Carolina. I'm in Maryland.
Right? What's the difference, bro? They're all the Carolinas. It's just one
because
Carolina.
Maryland is all about football and crab cakes.
Listen, your crab cakes suck. I hate that. I lived there for several years. You know that.
You are crab cakes
suck.
No, you have just been brutalized with that Californian bullshit crab where you all boil the crab instead of steaming it.
Maybe I'm not delusional from having to shovel 4 feet of snow. I've been warm here. I'm not frostbitten.
Dude, it's cold for you when it gets to like 55 degrees. You're wearing snow. You're like wearing a snow outfit, like you're about ready to go on snowboarding. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's true.
You're wearing your Uggs boots.
Listen, man. Again, that's just culture. That's fashion. Those chicks wear those boots when it's fucking 100. I mean, what?
Yeah, but you're not a chick, and it's not 100, and you're still wearing your Uggs boots.
And I don't wear Uggs. Anyway, man. But it's cold. Yeah, you're right, man. It's. Wait a minute. It's 68 right now, and it's fucking cold. I'm cold. I'm about ready to put a sweatshirt on. But you know what I don't have to do? I just go shovel snow.
I don't have to shovel snow anymore either. There's no more shovel.
You finally outsmarted yourself and got a machine.
I did finally go and get a snowblower, because I am never going to shovel any more fucking snow again.
So here's my question.
Ever.
Here's my question to go back to whatever it was we were talking about. All right, so Microsoft Windows, McAfee, super popular, part of the culture and technology, and I think in a lot of ways we could agree that they suck.
Sure.
Right? A lot of ways they suck. So, you and I have talked a lot about bug bounties and how you're able to leverage that labor in kind of a crowdsourced way. And it's not just about outsourcing to save dollars. It's about outsourcing perspective, right? In my opinion, it's about allowing a diverse population, not only ethnically, culturally, but also geographically, and skill set diversity, to look at the same thing and kind of figure out, is there a security problem with this? We know, I'm not going to go off on, I was going to talk about attribution and how culture informs attribution and how people use things is different between ethnic cultures. But that aside, why haven't we seen this kind of movement? Because to me, in along that lines, bug bounty works. It's very successful for us, and it seems like it is for other people too. Because bug bounties are getting more popular, not less. Why haven't we figured out?
Except with Oracle.
Well, yeah. Well, they don't exactly have a track history of making rational decisions, do they?
I don't think so.
Right. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what Sisto was thinking when she said that. I'm like, you are smoking crack.
Yeah. Well, why haven't we figured out how to do this with QA? Right, because when you break down QA and factor that into the process of whether you want to call it software assurance, code security, code robustness. I mean, those don't all mean the same thing, and I don't want to get into the technical argument of the semantics, but what we're really talking about is the security of the culture of our software. So, testing it, right? I mean, so why don't we have like QA bounties? Right? We somehow now become synonymous with vulnerability. And it's not.
Right. And, because here's the thing, like with our bug bounty, we don't limit it to security vulnerabilities.
Right. And that's a very conscious decision.
Right. We wanted, because here's the thing, a bug, no matter how minor, could eventually turn to a vulnerability. So we wanted to fix all bugs that people find in the product. But the important aspect here to me with bug bounties, and especially with a company like where we work now, we could never go hire a team of 100 people. We just couldn't. We couldn't afford that and survive as a startup company. We don't have the funds of Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple. I mean, Samsung. Samsung has, like, I think when I would talk to them, they had like 60 people doing what we have a handful of people doing in terms of vulnerability research.
Right.
And, we made a conscious decision to, one, allow everyone to take a look at our code, take a look at our products, submit their research to us. We won't ever threaten to sue them. We ask that they give us a short amount of time to get it fixed. We work with them, and when they publish, we're like, great, please publish your research. We're fine with that. We take some lumps in the media for it, but what's worse? These vulnerabilities, if these guys and gals are finding these problems in our products, we're getting them fixed. If they weren't doing it, I think bad actors would do it and not tell us. Nation states would do it and not tell us. So I think it's overall benefit society, and we pay them. Do we pay them as much as what every organization does all the time? No. But I do know with certain vulnerabilities, we have paid out as much as some of the large corporations, because I've been told that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, what I've looked at, we definitely have. So you and I both know handfuls of people that make their entire livelihood as an independent contractor discovering bugs.
Absolutely. And I think that's great that they're doing. And in a lot of ways, I wish I could pay some of these researchers more, because I think their time is valuable. Eventually, as we're more profitable as a company, we'll pay out more on the bounties. And I think which leads me to think, why aren't, I mean, we hear these things like Facebook, Microsoft, $1 million bounty reward, but you take a look at the stipulations and you go, how the fuck is anyone ever going to collect that? I mean, I don't think I mean, it's some of the stipulations are just bogus.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and in my opinion, having looked at those, and this is just my opinion, and I don't think we've ever talked about this part of it. To me, for some of these organizations, especially when they set up kind of those straw man type bug bounties, what they're doing is they're using it as a marketing platform. They're not looking at it, in a real sincere part of the culture, right? So here's, I don't like that. Obviously, I have a really strong distaste for it. Here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up before I forget. So does this concept of bug bounty coming out of like where you and I started, and there was no like ethical construct around vulnerability disclosure, ethical disclosure. We kind of solved that problem as a culture for the most part. Now that evolved into bug bounties, right? So does this tell us that in the future we won't, a Microsoft won't survive? They're too slow, they're too big, they can't do this, and we don't want their fucking products anyway. What I want is a small company that can produce my fucking Adobe Connect plugin in a free and open source way, and they won't have the labor to find bugs in their own stuff. So that perpetuates this concept of bug bounty. And and I start to think to myself, is this really a means, as a freedom fighter, right, or part of the resistance, if you will, to resist tyranny, to recapture freedom, and say, you know what, I don't need you, IBM. Technology has gone past you. There's nothing you can provide me that I can't find somewhere else, and really support kind of a homegrown grassroots small business approach.
I would like to say that the answer to that is yes, but what these large corporations do at this point in time is they buy innovation. They don't have to be innovative. They just buy you.
Sure.
I mean, why, until you get to a point where a company is going into business to say, I am going to better the world, and there is one, they didn't take money from any VC. That's key. They've bootstrapped it themselves or with people that think just like them, and they are willing to go to the mattresses and not sell out. That means not go public and not sell their company to a bigger company just for a bigger chunk of change. If they do that, then yes, I believe that you could wind up having some legitimate competition for some of these bigger companies. However, how long is that going to take? How much sacrifice is that going to take? And are you willing to do it? Because most people go into business to make money, and they want that sell to a big company to come buy them or to go public and get millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
You don't. So until you get someone who goes into business to say, I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars by not selling out and just by taking profit sharing that, I've distributed throughout the company, stuff like that, but it's my company, so I get a bigger piece of the pie, blah, 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 then sure, you might. But what's the third largest desktop operating system out there?
Dude, I don't even know. What is it?
I don't know. Maybe Ubuntu?
I don't know, man.
I mean, it's
you clarified desktop, so it's not Android yet. That's an interesting conversation for a later.
Right. Is it Chrome? Is it Chrome OS?
Fuck, man, it might be, dude. Those Chromebooks are pretty awesome.
Right. I don't know the answer. But if it's Chrome OS, then that's just Google. And so to me, that's another big company, and you're not getting what we wanted, because they would just put out basically another thing. I mean, Apple is they're probably number 2. But, I mean, there's a big difference between what Microsoft's market share is and Apple's market share from that desktop operating system.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Hold on. We have fucking the internet, man. We can just fact check ourselves. This is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right. These cocksuckers put it backwards. Oh, well, that's okay because Chrome OS is number 8.
Whew. Well, that's because they're probably combining multiple Linux, they have multiple Linux distros probably on that then.
No. Google Chrome OS.
Yeah.
Number 8. Mac OS is 6. OpenSUSE is 5. Windows XP is 4. 3 is Ubuntu 14X.
Okay.
2 is, wait a minute. They have, this list is suspect because they have number 2 is Windows 8.1, but Windows
Hmm.
10 is like number 7.
Well,
Number 1 is Windows 7. Wait, I misspoke. Number 7 is Windows 10. Number 2 is Windows 8, and number 1 is Windows 7. Oh, I see how they broke this down. Okay, that makes
they're
sense.
doing it by Windows 7 would be to me should make sense as being number 1, and Windows 8 is number 2.
Yeah.
So they've got really it's Windows is number 1. I heard Ubuntu has more of a market share than Apple from a desktop. Are they including servers in that?
I'm trying to see if they differentiate. They differentiate the version, 14, versus 13 versus whatever, right? But they don't differentiate between server and desktop. Hold on.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess possibly Ubuntu is probably quite heavily used in other parts of the world. I mean, if we were to break it down to North America, I would think Mac would be 2.
Yeah,
but
I think it's interesting though,
know.
man. It's interesting to have both Mac. Let me restate this. There's a more summarized way to say it. To me, it's interesting how diverse the top 5 is.
Yeah, sure. And so, so all those companies, minus maybe Ubuntu, I don't know Ubuntu's practices, but Ubuntu, if Ubuntu wanted to take off, let's put it this way, they would have to convince today Microsoft to develop Microsoft Office that would work on Ubuntu. And then Ubuntu would be now, I believe, a viable candidate in the enterprise and for home use. Because now, I mean, while you could use LibreOffice or any of those other things, it's just not the same. I mean, we tried using like LibreOffice for the doctorate program and people writing stuff in that. I mean, that was even worse than Microsoft Word.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, man. It's just if that's all you use and you only collaborate with people that use that as well, it's totally okay. But the minute you start trying to collaborate with somebody that's on a different platform, just the fonts fuck you over.
I think as soon as Apple wound up getting the agreement with Microsoft for Microsoft Office to be on there, it became a legitimate business product. And at that point, more people started using a Mac because they could now interoperate with other people using Microsoft Office.
Right.
Because you had the same issues with the Apple products, putting things in the proper Office format.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be interesting times. The power with which an individual software developer can produce software is growing pretty fast. The development environments, the development tools. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of people really talk about the philosophical change that Apple internally had to have gone through to admit that Objective-C was too opaque and it wasn't the way forward if you wanted a strong developer pipeline. So we need something more abstract. And we're elitist, so we can't use Java. And I'm not advocating Java, but that's what the pipeline is. Every CS program in the US starts with fucking Java. Well, why? I mean, again, it's culture, right? But, Apple being Apple can't admit that that's a viable alternative. Let's do that. And then our developers can create the same app for all these different platforms, whatever, right? They want that closed ecosystem. So what do they come up with? They come up with Swift. Swift's pretty badass. It's really easy to use. That's a huge philosophical change for them, man. They were heavily invested in Objective-C. And this isn't going to be a day switch for, anybody really. But to me, that shows that a huge company like Apple, I mean, they're in the top 10 now, operating system. Okay. A big company is cognizant of the power of the individual software developer. And man, I don't know. Is Microsoft and Apple, by creating these strong development tools, kind of giving people the guns they need to fire the shots to kill the big giant? I think we're going to see big changes in the next 5 years.
5 years, you think?
Yeah.
So do you think in the next 5 years that it will not be sitting at the top tech companies of being Google, Microsoft, Apple?
No, no, I think especially once VR really takes off, virtual reality, the tools people are going to have available to them to create software in really easy, intuitive, abstract ways, um, will allow an individual or just a few individuals to create things that are on par with what these giant corporations have now.
Well, they could create technology that might be on par, but they don't have the marketing engine that those companies have. And that's a huge difference. I can put things in the media that I want my consumers to look at. That, again, Betamax, VHS, right? Novell with Novell directory structure was much better than Active Directory.
Yeah,
But
for sure it
what
was.
happened? What wound up happening? Microsoft is a much better marketing engine behind it, and just ate their lunch.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, here's the thing I would point out to you though that I think is going to be a linchpin in this is when all that shit happened, we didn't have social media, and now we do. And I think you can see the trend in how small independent labor can produce the marketing power. Not close. I mean, it's not the same thing, but enough marketing power to get exposure. And I think that will stepwise increase. I mean, I'll go this far, man. How about this? I think in the next 5 years, within the next 5 years, we'll see a completely FOSS operating system that is entirely cross compatible with the non FOSS operating systems and application stacks in that top five.
no, I don't think it'll happen.
You're on,
And
bitch.
here's the reason why.
You're on.
And here's why I don't think it'll happen. So let's take mobile, for example.
Uh huh.
BlackBerry was number one.
Uh huh.
And then overnight, they got their ass handed to them by two organizations that weren't even in the mobile mix because Apple and Google were able to outspend BlackBerry by far. And BlackBerry was not like some rinky-dink company. They still have millions of dollars in the bank. I mean, they just paid $400 million for good technology. So it's not like they don't have cash where they can go do something.
Right.
And yet they weren't able to do it because Apple, Google, Microsoft, IBM, they have more money to be able to spend to get people to make them believe what they want to have in their homes. I mean, Google is investing in everything from robotics to virtual reality to desktop operating systems to to mobile phones. You name it, they're everywhere. Which is why I think they did a smart move creating this other company, Alphabet, and then making everything a subsidiary. So this way, it makes it more difficult with them having independent CEOs with all these operating groups. Makes it more difficult to say that they're just some big, huge monopoly. I don't know how the courts will view that, but they still have that engine behind it, and they make people feel like what they're getting is great. And it's more difficult for some company to just come along and overtake any of them because, again, if I handed you $1 billion, will you give me your company? And then they kill that off. I mean, look at the antivirus companies. They started buying off all these companies that were utilizing machine learning because it made them look bad. And
Right.
they killed the technology.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit more difficult because people are starting to do it. And they are saying, I'm not going to sell to you because I know by taking a look at FireEye and getting $1 billion valuation for their IPO, they're like, I can get $1 billion valuation. I could walk away with hundreds of millions without having to sell to McAfee.
Well, I think a great business example of this that relies heavily on the ease of use of technology is Tesla. Ford in particular was very, very aggressive in killing off electric technology because we've had it as a culture for a very long time. And Tesla said, "Fuck you, I'll do it myself."
Yeah, but he made
And
money from eBay, right? That's where he made his big money.
Yeah, but here's my question.
Or was it PayPal? I don't remember which.
I don't know if this is a question or a statement. Maybe it's both in the same thing. In particular, what in the next 5 years technology is going to do for us as creators is equalize that equation, because it's not going to take as much labor to produce these things, right? Google in the production of Android and the mobile devices needed that capital to speed up development. I don't think they needed the capital to pay for the development. I think there's a massive difference there. Apple needed that cash to speed it up because that's part of their market evaluation, right? My argument in particular is that because of the increase in the power of technology that the individual creator, developer, inventor, whatever you want to call people, has, is going to be so great within the next 5 years that it almost completely neutralizes that equation. And you won't need that money to rapidly develop something so that you can get market share. You'll have that power in the development tool. That's my argument. I'm sticking to it.
Well, if you had said 20 years, I might agree.
5.
I don't think it's going to happen in 5.
Dude, in 5 years, it's going to be 2021.
I get it. But I still don't have my flying automobile that I was promised from Back to the Future. I mean, they
about shit from your childhood, bro.
That's just stating fact. We don't have it. I don't think in 5 years you're going to see. I mean, you're talking right now. Apple is Fortune 5.
Yeah.
All right. Where are they going to get the? They're not going to be able to outspend Apple. They're not going to be able to outproduce Apple. I mean, Apple's thinking about things right now because they keep things so closed. They're thinking about things that many of us haven't even thought of yet that they're producing. And in reality, Apple makes good quality products. And here's probably the biggest reason why Apple is going to still be in that top 3 in reality, because it's a brand that people want to be seen using. It's cool. I'm in a coffee shop and they want to, if you have a MacBook, it's a status symbol. Is this MacBook that I've got that much better than any PC, Windows-based PC laptop? No, I would say in a lot of ways, for the money that I spent for this MacBook, I could get a much more powerful Windows-based system. But is it going to work as well as this Apple product? Is it going to have the same status symbol, me having a Lenovo? No, I don't think so. And I think that's the biggest key, is that people are sheep and want to be seen with a status symbol.
How do we turn the sheep into wolves, my friend?
I don't want to turn into wolves because I need to eat.
Become vegetarian.
No, I don't want to vegetarian. I need meat in my diet.
You love those big sausages in your mouth.
No, I didn't say that.
Coming from the guy with the Freddie Mercury mustache, that really means something, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's the reason why it won't happen. People want to be seen with the cool stuff. Apple is cool. Android, people still like, hey, this is the status symbol.
Right.
My home is powered by Nest. I'm like, not mine. Not going to happen. And I think that's a big reason why. I mean, Elon Musk with Tesla, whether you like it or not, his cars cost an extreme amount of money. And if I'm going to pay $100,000 for a car, I mean, why not just go get a Ferrari? It's a status symbol to have that Tesla device, that Tesla car. I've got $100,000 electric car that's still as fast as shit.
Well, and on top of that not a lot of other people have, because even within like an exotic supercar community, that Tesla Roadster is pretty fucking rare.
Yeah. And that's part of it. So even if someone came up with a great technology, one, I don't think it'll in the next 5 years. I don't think it would see too much of society, because if it was a threat to Apple, Microsoft, Google, IBM, they have enough cash to say, I will give you $1 billion to give that to me before it ever really hits it. I don't know that someone who doesn't have that kind of money would say no.
Yeah, you have fair points, man. There's incentives and market pressures there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's business. That's the
Yeah.
cultural reality. I don't know, man.
Now, if Elon Musk, because he's already got billions of dollars, which is why he's doing SpaceX, why he's doing Tesla, he doesn't need to do it for the money. He's made all of his money from PayPal. So I fact checked that real quick. Thank you. In this case, it was DuckDuckGo, not Google. DuckDuckGo. Well, I don't know which search engine they were using behind it, because I think they use someone's. But anyway, he made $1.5 billion from PayPal. So unless you've got someone that already has money, which is probably the point which gets back into what we talked about earlier in terms of freedom, unless the government decides to change to a democratic system, it's not happening from the people up anymore. It only happened once. So unless someone with already billions of dollars that doesn't care about making more billions and just wants to do better for society, I think I don't think an average Joe is going to be able to topple off a big tech company. It's going to need to be someone who's got billions of dollars and does not need fuck you money, because they already have fuck you money.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting concept. When you talk about destabilizing the status quo and changing culture, how do you affect that change as an individual, and what do you need as an individual to affect that change? That's an interesting question I've been pondering, man. I don't know how much time you got left, dude. I think we've been going for a bit now.
We've been about an hour. Yeah. Probably time to wrap this up.
All right. Yeah, man. Once again, I think we covered some good shit. Hopefully this gives some people some ideas. I know I'm already thinking of some other ideas for the next one, and maybe what I think about the next 5-10 years out there. Jesus Christ, man. 2021 in 5 years. That's scary. Scary, man.
I'm not worried.
I'm not worried. I think it's a good scary.
So I think for our next episode, next week, we do a good service community and have on a vet that has post-traumatic stress disorder, to get him to talk about some of the challenges of having PTSD working for a startup tech company.
Working for you mean? Let's be honest.
I do cause some stress.
Because I don't have PTSD. I'm not, right?
No.
But working for you fucking triggers me, man. Yeah, man. Let's bring that dude on and let's talk about biohacking. How about that? Technology and biohacking.
Yeah. I think biohacking would be a good thing, because he's kind of into that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All three of us have had good conversations, so let's do that.
Sounds great.
Sweet. All right. I'm gonna stop this bitch. Maybe I should. I'm not even gonna try the image again, man. I don't know what's up with that. I'm gonna break something. Episode 4 coming to a close. Man, I'm ready to come back to the east, to the wintry east. I gotta go buy a fucking coat.
And what's funny is that on Monday it's supposed to be like 60 degrees here.
I know. I already looked, man. I know. I'm like, oh, thank fucking God, because I don't have a coat.
So what I plan on doing is putting the temperature down to 50 in the house, so that way you'll feel at home.
Save some snow for me, man, and just let me jump in it.
I will. I want to bring some snow with me on Monday when I pick you up from the airport. So when I see him, I throw a snowball at you.
You're the kind of cocksucker that would do it too.
I will. It was funny is that I remember doing this as a kid, and I put a snowball in the freezer, so that shit turned to ice. And I was like 12, and I took this thing out, not realizing it was going to be like ice, and I threw it at a friend. It was an ice ball, and it hit him in the head, and his nose started bleeding. I was like, it was supposed to be like snow. Well, it was ice. It was complete ice.
Oh my God.
I did feel kind of bad. Anyway, all right. Next week.
All right, man.
We'll see you here on the best coast next week.
Oh my God. I don't know about that. Wow. How about the most interesting coast?
Yeah, it'll be even more interesting when you move to North Carolina.
Hey, you never know, man. You never know, dude. I found a community college that teaches race car technology. That might be
in North Carolina,
man. I mean, maybe that's the first step to building the space arc to get out of here. I mean, who knows? All right, see you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
All right, my friend.
Bye.